Michael Phelps was untouchable. 23 Olympic golds, the greatest swimmer of all time, but then, in 2016, a kid who grew up idolizing him did the impossible. This is the story of the college kid who stunned the GOAT. Michael Phelps has been one of the best swimmers in the world since he was a teenager. He started his Olympic career at the 2004 Summer Games in Athens, where he tied the record of 8 medals of any color at a single games by winning 6 gold and 2 bronze medals. At just 19 years old, Phelps was on pace to be one of the greatest athletes of all time, but it was just the beginning. 4 years later, the Summer Olympics returned, but this time in Beijing, China. Phelps was more developed, more mature, and came in surrounded by high expectations. Sure enough, Beijing was his breakthrough. He won 8 gold medals, which broke the record held by American swimmer Mark Spitz for the most first-place finishes at a single Olympic Games. By this point, second place wasn't in Michael's vocabulary. He had become the modern-day Poseidon. When the London Games rolled around in 2012, Phelps had a chance to break a record many thought was unbreakable. He could become the first person in history to win 15 Olympic medals, regardless of the sport or time period involved. On July 31, 2012, just 3 days into the competition, Phelps won a silver medal in the 200-meter butterfly, followed by a gold in the 4x200-meter free, thus making him the most decorated Olympian of all time. Michael Phelps left London with 4 gold medals and 2 silver medals. Only 3 of his 6 medals came in individual events, and many started to question whether the Baltimore Bullet was nearing the end of his prime. Phelps himself was one of those people. He announced his retirement following the Olympics, going out on top as the best butterfly and medley swimmer on the planet. Just like the ever-flowing nature of the water he loved, Michael Phelps couldn't sit still for long. At 29 years old, he came back from retirement in 2014, and he immediately made his presence known in the one stroke he knew best, the butterfly. When the 2016 Rio Games rolled around, Phelps didn't have many more records to break, but he was pretty much the undisputed butterfly champion going on 10 years, and he wanted to go out with a bang in his favorite event. The 100-meter fly wasn't just any race, it was his race. One very young, very unlikely competitor would be the only man to stand in his way. Who would have thought that a young man from a country of just 6 million people would dethrone the hero he looked up to? Singapore is a relatively small island country that's known for business, innovation, and technology among other things. Most people don't think of sports when they think of this Southeast Asian country, but its long history of colonialism introduced plenty of them and generated a lot of good athletes. Joseph Schooling, the 2016 Olympic gold medalist in the 100-meter butterfly, is probably the best example of them. Joseph Schooling was born and raised in Singapore and started swimming early on in childhood. Both his parents came from an athletic background, and interestingly enough, his granduncle was an Olympian in 1948 and was actually the first athlete to represent Singapore. Schooling was a strong swimmer by the time he was a preteen, and therefore his parents decided to enroll him at the Bulls School in Jacksonville, Florida. In 2011, at the age of 16 years old, Schooling was swimming Olympic-level times, but he had just missed the mark to compete in London. Unfortunately, he had to wait another 4 years to really make a name for himself, but the next 3 served as great preparation. Joseph Schooling finished high school and became the king of the sea, or Southeast Asian swimming community, when he won 9 gold medals at the 2015 SEA Games. That same year, he'd go on to break several Asian and national records at the World Aquatics Championships, and on the other side of the world, Joseph was dominating the NCAA scene as he won 2 individual national titles. There was no denying Schooling an Olympic spot this time around. There was a butterfly flying under the radar. This was the curtain call for Michael Phelps. It was the last individual event of his Olympic career. It was the butterfly, and he was the favorite to win. At 31 years old, Phelps was past his swimming prime according to most critics, and to make matters worse, he faced tough competition in Chad le Clos, who won the 2012 gold in the 200-meter butterfly, and Hungarian Laszlo Say, who was a world champion in 2005. Little did Michael Phelps know his toughest competition would come from Joseph Schooling, the Singaporean native who was simultaneously taking classes at the University of Texas. Almost as if a warning shot were fired, Schooling broke out and posted the fastest time in the semifinals. Now was the moment everyone was waiting for. 4 men capable of world record pace, but only 1 Olympic gold to be won. The swimmers took their marks, got set, and the race was off. Schooling explodes off the blocks, taking a slight lead at the turn 50 meters in. Now, it's time to go all out. In the final 50 meters, Phelps, le Clos, and Laszlo Say are pushing hard, but Schooling just barely holds his lead. In a nail-biting finish, Schooling touches the wall first, posting a time of 50.39 seconds, a new Olympic record. When the times finally flashed on the screen, no one could believe it. Schooling had just beaten the best modern-day swimmer at his best game, and he also became Singapore's first ever Olympic gold medalist. Three powerhouses who were right behind Joseph all ended up coming in a tie for silver. The clock didn't lie. Joseph Schooling had just beaten the greatest swimmer in history, and he made it look easy. A few moments go by and Joseph Schooling is in pure disbelief and joy. Phelps, in a legendary display of sportsmanship, smiles and congratulates him. The fans from Singapore erupt in celebration as they are finally taking home the gold. The 2008 encounter between Michael Phelps and Joseph Schooling had become a full circle moment. 8 years ago, he was just a kid taking a picture with his hero. Now, he had just taken his crown on the biggest stage in sports. Schooling became a legend in Singapore after capturing Olympic gold. In October of 2016, he was granted the Meritorious Service Medal by the government, while also being named the Straits Times Athlete of the Year. A species of orchid flower was also named after him in 2017, which is a huge honor in Singapore dating back to the 1950s. The 2016 100-meter butterfly was the last individual race of Michael Phelps' Olympic career. Although it wasn't the outcome he wanted, he still went out dominant, retiring with a total of 23 gold medals. This wasn't just an Olympic upset, it was a reminder that greatness isn't reserved for the chosen few. Sometimes, the next legend is a kid who grew up watching his hero, waiting for his moment to shine.